in 2010, Greg and I were at Clifftop, and we realized in a session with his friend Pat from Kansas that we knew this obscure version of Cumberland Gap. And we didn't know that the other people knew it came up. And so we got back to Florida, and I played the tune, and Kerry, he's like, holy shit, where's this come from? And we were talking about this. So I looked up the emails, Greg, and so the first time was like the 18th of October. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 emails from Kerry over the next like 3 or 4 weeks. So Kerry determined, well, the first thing was he talked to Mark Schatz, because we learned it through the fiddling of Matty Gordon and Mark Schatz. The fiddle puppets, they were all part of that group, and they put out this really good CD. And so Kerry wrote Mark, and Mark didn't remember, and he talked to Matty, and they came back with, well, they had heard the tune from a recording the Fly By Night string band. So Kerry contacted one of those guys and talked to them about it, and it turned out, well, they had heard the Possum Trot string band played. So he called Heath Kurtza and got this information from him, and so he just dogged this, and I'm sure others of you have similar experiences, but the thing that came out was, so he says, Possum Trot string band had recorded it, but I guess the original recorded version that Kerry found was Fiddlin' Bill Jones played it on banjo in Frakes, Kentucky in 1957, and Gene Bluestein recorded it. So Kerry built this and it's like he was so obsessed with it, and it's a lovely thing because we have all this resource. But I mean, you know, I was an IT nerd for my career. Kerry did that stuff with Boeing and so forth. But the drive that he had to do this stuff was truly amazing. And a couple of things that Alan said up here a few minutes ago about anybody that's ever played with Kerry, you know, Kerry had a reputation as a chord Nazi. and Annie and I, well, I mean, I helped Kerry restore a couple of dead computers, and I digitized a bunch of stuff, and we'll talk about that later. But in any case, I was going back and listening to some of the music. I'm still trying to get my shit together to get it more organized, but Susan and Kerry and I had a short stint as a band. I think we played one gig together, and my life was so busy I just couldn't do it. But and listening to some of this stuff that we did, so we played a tune together, and it was Old Groundhog. This really different version. Yep. And you two were both playing fiddles, and you guys played this great harmony. I'm playing guitar, and the tune has a fucking minor chord in it. Kerry didn't object to it, he liked it.
Making collections for people and sending CDs to people, or you know, whatever he was doing with it, he was doing it all the time. And but when I first, you know, asked him to move into the house, of course I went to my husband Paul, who's sitting back here, and you know, I said, do you mind if I let Kerry move in? And I have the most wonderful husband who supports me in every crazy thing I want to do. And if I say, hey, I want to go take off in my, you know, my camper and go away for a weekend, or I want to go do this, or I want to do that, he never says no to me. He just says, hope you have a good time. Go have fun. And so when I asked him, do you mind if I let Kerry move in? He was like, yeah, no problem. And we did not, like I said, thank God we didn't have Chris or Walt. You know, what was that going to be in the future for us? But when Kerry got sick and went on his magical mystery tour, and Parkinson's was really, the effects of the Parkinson's was really kicking in, I went to him again and I said, do you mind if, I take control of Kerry's life? And I became his legal guardian. Me and Susan were his guardians. And again, my generous husband who's amazing, do what you got to do. And so me and Susan certainly did not expect Kerry to last for 4 years. And it was, not only a sacrifice for myself, but also for my family, who, we didn't, every weekend I had to go check on Kerry and go make sure that the checks were paid, and his finances were in order. And he had very little for finances, but because I knew how to work the system, I was able to get some free care takers from Elder Options, and I was able to, make his money stretch as far as possible. Certain things happened, like when the pandemic, we got a little bit of extra money from the pandemic, that helped, everything helped. And I was very fortunate to find people who were able to help supplement. And one of the first people that I want to recognize for that, she's sitting in the back there filming me, Miss Marcia. Marcia, stand up for a minute, from Dementia. And so she had also worked at Shannon. So she had a lot of experience with, the stuff that Kerry was going through, and giving him strategies for, staying calm and not leaving the house at night, and making sure that he stayed in his room at night, because he didn't have the money to have full-time care, even though that's what he really needed. And so Marcia, she took him to his doctor's appointments, she got him his meds, made sure his box was full, because he took meds 4 times a day. It's a lot of pills he was swallowing. And he never complained. It was just all that he went through, all the suffering he had, all the difficulties. He was not a complainer, and he was so grateful for it. I would bring him like a little piece of chocolate. It was like you gave him the world, and food, anything with food. So Marcia, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure.
When I was taking care of Kerry and going through this stuff, I got a note. I guess it was like a card that you put in your wallet or something. And the 2 things that he wanted at the end was to be cremated and to have a memorial for him. And so Susan has been the one, after Kerry passed, one of the things I said to Susan is I said, I took care of him while he was alive. Now you can take care of him. So she has graciously, from a distance, organized all of this and put it together. I know Mary also helped. But we did all the heavy lifting and made this event happen for us today so that we could come and honor his memory in a way that he certainly deserves. I realized that John hadn't met Kerry until a little bit into the 80s, so I might be the person who actually knew Kerry longer than anybody else around here. He didn't know me though, so that's a different story there. I just wanted to go, and a couple of things that I learned while I was taking care of Kerry and talking to him a lot, about himself and how he became who he is. And when he was 4 years old, he lived in Ohio, and his uncle lived next door. And his uncle was a guitar player and had some connection with Gibson guitars. And he convinced Kerry's parents to buy him a guitar for his 4th birthday. 4 years old. Gibson. So this was the early 1950s. The guitar that his father bought for him was the guitar that Kerry played all his life. And that guitar is here today. John in the back has it. And we lost a peg for one of the strings, so it had a malfunction. But John's been playing on it anyway. And it's a beautiful guitar. And this was his only guitar that he played for his whole life. Good job. And it's definitely well worn. That's only 5 strings. That's not too bad. He was a banjo player as well, and an amazing fiddle player. And he started out in folk music, and like folk music is the gateway drug to old time. So, but there's different twists of fate in life, and he might never have become the musician that he did become if it had not been for a broken ankle. his first year of college, he was playing basketball, and he was on the team, and he was destined to, they were looking at him to go to the pros. He was that good.
That's good.
He stood at 6 foot tall, 6'4", and they have professional pictures that were taken during games where he could go from a standing position into the air and be 3-4 feet off the ground. And there weren't very many people around him then who could reach that height, and so yeah, I'm sure he got a lot of baskets. But into his first year, he had an accident and during the game, and he broke his ankle. And so that was the end of his basketball career. And so then he ended up switching over to Kent State and was totally involved in music there. He was organized the Kent State Folk Festival for a number of years and did the graphics and ran the folk music section in the local record shop, and just did all kinds of stuff, totally immersed. He was, I think Alan mentioned it, and a lot of people didn't know, he was at Kent State the day of the shoot, and he was on the plaza. And he showed me the famous picture with the girl, on the ground, over the body. And he said, see that wall back there? There were some people against this wall. He said, no, you can't see them. It's from the waist down. It were his legs. Those are my legs. He was 10 feet away from a bullet. He ended up getting arrested. He was investigated, and it caused him PTSD for the rest of his life. It was part of the reason why he wasn't on Facebook. He was so paranoid and stuff like that, which is unfortunate. But he stayed with the music. And so in 1980, I was in Florida already, but I would go home for the summer and hang out with my friends up in New York. And Pat Conti and I went down to Brandywine, and it was the year that they had the I Came to Drink stickers. So for $10, you could buy your way into an open bar for the rest of the weekend. I waited until 4 o'clock that afternoon, and I was done. And the Cambridge Rattler camp and the double-decker camp were together. And so he was with the double-deckers. And like I said, he didn't know me from the Philippines, but it was hard to miss him. Here's a 6'4" guy in camp, like a bull in a china shop. And he was like foraging for food in the kitchen all the time. He was the loneliest person I've ever met. Not until the end, he never missed a meal. It was amazing. He could eat you out of house and home. Anyway, that was when I first became aware of Kerry.
it's not formed. He's backed up here by Bill Schmidt, Kevin Edick, and I'm playing guitar on it. So here we go.
And our note Taylor Campbell. There's a few commercial recordings of him out. And this next tune appeared on our county album called Blue Ridge Barn Dance under the title of Rachel. But I have some field recordings again that Ellen Jabour had made of him, and there's 3 separate sessions, and every time Taylor plays a tune, Ellen asks, "What would you call that?" He says, "Spinal Twist." I like that better than Rachel. Taylor was also known for pulling legs.
If you haven't been to legacy.com to read it, I urge you to do that because it's really a wonderful overview of Kerry's time. Aisha reminded me, actually, some of her anecdotes reminded me of a quote that Brent Baldwin shared with me. And it just says so much about Kerry. He said, "That's a really good tune when it's played right." I'm not sure when I first ran across Kerry. Its memories kind of all blur together, and we were at we were certainly at some fiddlers conventions at the same time. I don't know when we ran into one another. It could have been through the double decker string band. They were great friends with him. But I've got Exhibit 1 is an original copy of a cassette that with carefully curated compilation of 78s. This one is entitled "Swing Your Part." Oh, wait a second. This is the wrong one. Okay, well, this is number 4 in the series. Number 1 is called "Shout When You're Happy," and it's Sons of Queequeg 001. This one is Sons of Queequeg 004, and they're both really wonderful. It's hand-colored. I think what he did is he photocopied Robert Crumb's, the playing cards, the heroes of old-time music, and Kerry hand-colored the J card, and they're just priceless.
It was all about sharing the music and the community, and making sure the music was preserved properly and correctly, and that it was in the right key, and that it had the right notes. And by the way, you should stick a key.
No minors.
Yeah, you stick no minors. And he has to be more than it doesn't belong because he's going to let you know about it. And but he really wanted this music to be available to the world. And so one of the things that happened after Kerry passed was that John, a lot of people have been saying, what's going to happen to Kerry's collection? What's going to happen with this? First of all, Kerry's collection is going to stay in this house for now. I am going to turn it into my guest house. Different people can come. I already made arrangements with the local gang, Les and Mary and Brent Nensley, Bill Payne, some of these other folks who are going to come and actually help me work on the collection. We need to, there's a lot, he has so much stuff, and notes, and old cassette tapes, and it just is endless. And I don't know what's digitized and what's not digitized, and so they're going to come and help me with all of that. But John connected us with a man named Larry Warren, who owns a website called Slippery Hill, and slipperyhill.com. And if anybody plays old-time music, this is like, the source. I mean, he's doing a great job on the site, putting up music, videos, pictures, stories, documenting everything. We have been able to pass on to him the digitized portion of Kerry's collection, and he's already putting some of Kerry's music up on there. And we plan to work with Larry and get up there as much as we possibly can. We're also going to be working with the Florida Fiddlers Association, and I have some ideas about what we can do with the organization, since you are the keepers of the collection at some point. Once we get sorted out, figure out what the hell, and make sure everything is available. Kerry did not want his collection in a box in a corner somewhere. There were some offers where there were places that would keep the collection, but they may not have the resources to actually do anything with it. He did not want that to happen. He wanted the collection to stay in Florida, and he wanted the collection to be available for everybody to learn from, and that all this work would be preserved, and that's our intention. And so that's what's going on with that. And I probably forgot a bunch of stuff at this point, but we've all talked long enough that Kerry would be like, "Oh, come on, let's just play music." And let's eat.